we headed out for another superb boat dive off the Isle of Skye. The conditions looked really good, flat calm, plenty of sun, and again, Aaron, who runs the Skye Spearfishing channel, very kindly took us out on his new rib. We hit some really cool marks, a whole series of offshore pinnacles, and the viz was great, a solid kind of 8 to 10 metres. This is pretty normal on Skye. Now in this viz, some of the fish look a lot smaller than they really are. This is actually an okay fish, probably about 50 centimetres. It's nothing special, but I fluff the shot and miss it at point blank range. Now, one of the kind of tactics that Aaron was basically telling us is drop down, wait and see a fish appear, and if after about 50 seconds of your dive no fish have appeared, just come straight back up to avoid wasting energy. So I tried this a bit here, and you can see in this clip, pretty quickly into the dive, this is about 10 to 12 metres, a lot of small fish move in. Now, what I'm hoping is that the small fish moving in will give a bigger fish confidence to approach me. And what you'll see towards the end of this clip is quite a large coalfish moving underneath the kelp. Now, the kelp on Skye is pretty tall. It's often sort of 3 metres off the bottom, and I imagine in a lot of tide states, most of the big fish are probably sat underneath the kelp. And you can see that large coalfish moving there and move far too quickly for me to take the shot. Now, one of the best bits about this dive was the number of spurdogs around. I've never seen these before. They were present in really big numbers. These are pretty big fish. These are about 1 metre long. It was quite cool just seeing fish so large, actually. They sort of look a bit like a shark underwater. And interestingly, whenever we saw spurdogs, there were no pollock, so perhaps they eat them. We continued moving around the coastline, trying different spots. Even though Aaron lives on Skye and dives there quite a lot, most of these spots were new to him, so it's quite interesting just recceing new marks. And you can see Aaron drops in here just off these pinnacles and pretty quickly comes up with a decent fish. It's not a massive pollock, it's probably about somewhere between 55 and 60 centimetres, quite a nice fish actually. You see here a really nice shot, he stoned that one, perfect shot, just behind the head. And pretty quickly after that, Toby shot what I think was the fish of the trip. This is an absolutely beautiful golden pollock. Definitely not the biggest fish he had, but the colours on this were absolutely stunning. I was pretty jealous. And instantly Toby shot another big fish. This one was about 8 pounds. This is an absolutely cracking pollock. We moved marks again, and I was very determined to get a fish. Now I was on a blank. Everyone else had shot fish. I was not going to fail here. We found an area with really good structure. I felt at any point a big fish could just cruise between those boulders and I'd pick it up in one of the little gullies. However, in this area there was nothing there. There weren't even any bait fish. It was very strange. So we moved spots yet again. And this spot just seemed more fishy. The fish were a little bit bigger. I thought about having a shot at this fish. It's an alright pollock. Maybe kind of another 55 centimetre fish, maybe slightly smaller. That's a decent coalfish there. It's definitely shootable. But I held off, and finally a decent pollock came into view. Now I didn't get the best shot into this fish. The reel jammed, and I tried to swim down into the kelp to try and pull it out of the kelp. Managed to get the fish up and out of the kelp, but it was well and truly tangled in there. There was no chance of getting it out. Now, at this point, I had a few options, but this far into the dive, I was probably a bit low on oxygen. Quickly tried to break his neck, which I've done with bass before. Didn't work with this pollock, unfortunately. So I just went back to the surface. I'd been under for far too long here, and it was best just to drop the gun. Now I called Aaron over. While I was breathing up, he very kindly swam down and engaged the reel on the gun. Then after that, I was able to swim down and get the fish. Now, I learned a few lessons from this actually. The first one is to make sure that the reel works. I was borrowing someone else's gun here. I normally shoot with a Salvamar metal. I was trying a Rob Allen Sparrod on this dive just to kind of get a feel for a Rob Allen gun. And I should have made sure the reel was working. And then the other sort of lesson learned is perhaps I could have just got my knife out and brained the fish rather than letting it swim off again and potentially get back into the kelp and shake itself free. Now, fortunately, the fish had died pretty quickly, didn't suffer too much, and it was still attached to the spear. It would be a bit of a waste to kill a decent fish like this and not even get it up. And I was able to untangle it from the kelp and bring it back up to the surface. Now, I stopped the voiceover for a minute as I go back up to the surface, and you'll just kind of hear what me and Aaron were saying. It's quite interesting having a little chat about the merits of different techniques and also of different reels on different guns. It does seem to vary a lot through different pieces of equipment. Now, I took this clip not to disrespect this coalfish in any way. It's a perfectly decent coalfish, it's an edible fish, but it just shows you how big a mouth a pollock has. This is by no means a massive pollock, but it can swallow something pretty big. Now, we continued moving spots, and Aaron was saying, quite interesting, as the light fades, sometimes the fish come on the feed. And this was the second pollock I shot, didn't get the shot where I shot it in the footage, but you can see here it's stuffed full of sand eels. This one been eating moments previously. It's pretty nice to all have some fish at this point. And unfortunately, that was pretty much the end of the dive. Once the sun had sort of gone down to this point, the viz really dropped off, and it was time to return back to the jetty. A very, very good dive. Really enjoyed this one. Toby got some absolutely stunning fish. And as always, I hope you enjoyed the video. Please do give it a like and subscribe to the channel. It really helps me out. And hopefully I'll see you in the next video.